Welcome to Brevard News, your trusted news source in Brevard County. And I'm with Katie Delaney, who is running for County Commission, Seat 1, and also Troy Tidwell, who is running for Titusville City Council, Seat 2. And we try to bring you some of the behind the scenes news that you're not going to get from some of your other news sources. And so we had Troy Tidwell, who went to the Titusville City Council meeting last Tuesday, and you saw some interesting things there. Troy, before you went to the meeting, you went to the CRA meeting. If you want to tell us about what you saw and what you heard.
Oh, sure, I'd love to. First of all, thank you for having me again. It's great to be back on the table, around the table with both of you guys. So thank you again. But yeah, I was fortunate enough to arrive a little early, so I got a chance to attend the second half of the CRA meeting, which is our Community Redevelopment Agency. And really, their job, they're tasked with redeveloping and developing the entire city of Titusville. But one of the overwhelming themes I heard during the meeting, now granted I wasn't there for the whole meeting, but a good chunk of the meeting was really focused on that downtown corridor and along US 1 and anywhere where there's a view of the river. And I would have liked to have heard more emphasis placed on the rest of the city. There's a lot of other neighborhoods in the city, 70 some odd neighborhoods in Titusville, a lot of which need help as well. So I would have liked to have heard more of that. Um, so, in addition to that hyper focus on that downtown corridor, one thing I thought was interesting, Brad Parrish, who is the Director of Community Development for Titusville, he was briefing the council on some upcoming developments, some things that are already in place and some things that are coming ahead in the future. And, hats off to Vice Mayor Joe Robinson. He probably asked the best question of the evening, and I thought it was well thought out, and I want to get it right, so I'm kind of going to read it verbatim. And the question was really concerning future development for Titusville, and he asked, looking back, what requirements in the past have been most restrictive to development, causing people to turn away? And from the very first podcast, that was one of our main topics in this room about the hindrance and the regulations and the overbearing regulations to new business and current businesses that are trying to improve or expand. And Searstown Mall, for example, Burger Rob's, and it feels like to me, hopefully to you guys, that people are starting to listen. So that was one of the topics.
And you didn't get an answer from that, right?
There was really no answer. It's just that we'll take a look at it. But I will tell you that we need more people like that on council that are willing
Correct.
to take a look back to the past
Correct.
and identify ordinances or decisions that were poor and no longer make sense and repeal those. And so that's one of the reasons I'm running. So we need more people like that on council that's willing to stand up and admit, hey, this wasn't right for the city. So
Well, one of the issues, wouldn't you say, is that the ordinances, most people in the city of Titusville are unaware of the ordinances that are on the books and how restrictive they are to businesses or even to residents in the city, right?
I agree with you. Before I became involved, I would just drive around the city and I would see just random projects unfinished, and some things were going well, some things were just left abandoned for long periods of time. I'm like, and businesses were getting the okay to move forward. Other businesses were stuck, and I couldn't figure out why. It just seemed so random. So as I'm becoming more involved, it's all starting to make sense as to where all this is coming from. So we'll get to the bottom of it, and we hope to do some good things down at City Hall.
Now, you also went to the city council meeting as well.
I did. The city council meeting, a very short agenda, a short meeting in general, so nothing earth shattering. But one of the things I thought was interesting is this landscaping deal with the TEC. So the TEC is Titusville's Environmental Commission, and they approved a list, and I saw part of the list. It's a very good list of approved landscaping for the city. It makes a lot of sense. Now that's a 9-member board or a 7-member board with 2 alternates. Now at the same time, the city council voted to have a third-party consultant comprise of their own list and do some research. So we have this 7 plus 2, 9-member board of experts in the field that did a fantastic job, by the way. Yet we decided to spend additional city funds, taxpayer funds, on a outside party that came up with a list that didn't match. And actually, their list had landscaping that really wasn't that doesn't apparently do that well in our area.
Did anybody say why, Troy? What is the purpose of this?
I didn't really get a good answer. They just committed. They just committed to take a further look at it. I think there's going to be another hearing, but the TEC. I saw the list of people on the board, pretty sharp people. So why we felt the need to consult outside, I don't know. But they're working through that. So my main takeaway from that council meeting is this. That was just one example of a list of unnecessary consultants we've hired over the years that at the expense of taxpayers that were unnecessary. You could probably fill a warehouse with all the three-ring binders and thousands of pages of recommendations and plans from all these consultants, most of which I would say have probably never been implemented, right? So what a waste, what a shame, but I'd like to fix that.
Bureaucracy at its finest.
You got it.
Katie, you went to a town hall meeting and you also have information from Cocoa.
Yes.
Let's start with Cocoa first.
Sure.
So the information that came from the Cocoa City Council meeting?
Yes.
Tell us about it.
So if anybody wants to look into this, it's at the very end of the meeting during board reports, where Mayor Blake actually said that there's some new legislation that's coming forward this session in Tallahassee that has to do with our homestead exemptions, bringing it from, I believe, 50,000 to 75,000, which is going to make the city take a major hit on their revenue. And
Oh, isn't that sad? City government has to do without more money.
so his plan going forward is actually to, oh no,
Oh,
no, he wants to annex unincorporated Cocoa into the city of Cocoa. That means Port St. John, Canaveral Groves, West Cocoa, all the unincorporated areas surrounding Cocoa. He wants your money. And
money grab.
yeah.
So
It's
instead
horrible.
of cutting, let me get this right now. Instead of cutting back, particularly at a time of the inflation and the economy is just off the rails, they would rather invade these unincorporated areas where the people move there because they don't want to be a part of those municipalities, and they would rather raid them to try to get more tax revenue in order to cover whatever expenditures they need
Exactly.
instead of cutting.
Exactly.
As you know, government never cuts.
Yeah.
It's always adding more.
Oh yeah.
And that's just really sad. And so there was some other information. You went to a town hall meeting
Yes.
concerning a development that's coming in also in Cocoa.
Yeah. So we were lucky enough, the candidates for District 1 County Commission, we were invited to a resident's home. She graciously opened up her home for us, not only to the candidates, but to her whole community. And we were able to ask, tell the community about ourselves. We were able to answer questions. We were able to hear concerns. It was incredible. I was just honored to be there with all those people and honored that they gave up their Friday night to come and talk about their community and their concerns. It was great.
So what were some of the suggestions as to what the citizens could do about that? I mean, you're seeing it over and over that the citizens are just not being considered in all of the considerations concerning the developments, and not only in Cocoa, but also in Titusville and other places. And now with the new They Live Local Act, that's going to even get worse, right? So
For sure.
how are the citizens feeling as they see these things occur?
Honestly, they're horrified because not only is this going to create traffic problems for their community, but it's going to create flooding issues. And nobody in the city or the county seems to care. And it's really, it's really difficult because a lot of times people's homes are their largest investment that they ever make in their
Absolutely.
life. And so a lot of these people have lived here for 20, 30, 40 years, and they just see their largest investment about to be destroyed.
So what did you suggest in the town hall that you think could happen to be able to help the citizens?
I'm hoping honestly that the citizens are able to pull together and find an attorney, because there are some major issues with the stipulated agreement, the just all the documentation that's come from the courts and whatnot, that either the city or the county has not fulfilled, or the landowner or developer, they haven't fulfilled the contract terms. And so they really need a lawyer, honestly. And they might have a chance to maybe not stop it, but hopefully lower some of the density, and that will help both their flooding and their traffic issues.
That's really sad. You better wake up, Brevard County. As you might realize, as you see a lot of the things developing in this area, that the government and some of the corporations are not concerned about the citizens, and it's going to take you to get involved, and like people like these two sitting at the table here, in order to be able to get a government in that is concerned about the people. Thank you for joining us this week. We'll be back next week for another installment of Brevard News. Have a wonderful week.